So Kakadosh 1 Kuf Vav Amud Bet, where it says now, Amar Bihia Bar Abba Amar Yochanan. We are 8 lines down, which is going to be the 2 dots. It says, Bihia Bar Abba says the name of Yochanan, Hatoen Tanat Ganav Bepikadon. Somebody was given a collateral, and all of a sudden the guy comes and he says, no, give it back to me. It was stolen. Shalem Tashlume Kefel. He has to pay Kefel. Tabahu Machar, if he slaughtered it or sold it, he has to pay 4 or 5 times. Since the Ganav is going to pay Tashlume Kefel, so To'en Tanat Ganav. One more time. Ganav means he himself stole it. To'en Tanat Ganav means he was given to him as a collateral, and then he said it was stolen. That's To'en Tanat Ganav. So since each one pays Kefel, Ma Ganav Meshalem Kefel, just like the Ganav is Meshalem Kefel, Tavachu Machar Meshalem Tashlume 105. So if he's going to slaughter it, he pays 4 and 5. So to To'en Tanat Ganav, right, the same thing. He's going to pay. He's going to pay. Which means it makes sense. Yes, he's saying that somebody else stole it from him. Okay? Everyone understood the learning. One more time. We're comparing Ganav to To'en Tanat Ganav. Selamim Shos. The bidyuk oto davar. Yeah? יש לנו הרבה דברים. זה אותו דבר. מקיש. What does that mean? You're putting the Ganav and To'en Tanat Ganav. Just like the Ganav he steals, he has to pay Tashlume Kefel. To'en Tanat Ganav has to pay Tashlume Kefel. So just like when a Ganav is going to come and steal and then afterwards he slaughters and sells it, he has to pay 4 and 5 times. So to To'en Tanat Ganav, when he's going to be To'en Tanat Ganav, remember, he's going to pay 4 or 5 times, which makes sense. Everything, it's all the same halachot. Okay? Makes sense.
Yeah, but because it's slaughtered, he paid 4.
Amri, we said, Hekeshahi. Makish. What does that mean? We're making a hekesh that we're learning from Ganav on To'en Tanat Ganav. Ve'en meshivin ala kesha. And we're not going to push off a drashat hekesh because of a question, which means the limud of Rabbi Yochanan is not coming from a binyan av as we thought from the beginning, but rather it's a hekesh. And therefore, even though we found that we could be machmin, and we are machmin, sometimes in a ganav more than a To'en Tanat Ganav, right? Still, it's going to be okay. I don't know if anybody realized, but I skipped the question. So one more time, let's go back up a few lines, right? Because I lost the place. Male Ganav, one more time, right? Let's go back, zoom out, pay attention. One more time. We mentioned that if a person steals and he gets caught, how much does he have to pay? Kefel. If he steals and he slaughters and sells it, how much does he have to pay? 4 and 5 times. Depends whether it's a shor or se. Okay? What happens right now if somebody gives you a collateral and they say, give it back to me? It was stolen. And he himself stole it. So he's caught. How much does he have to pay? Kefel. If he slaughters it and sells it, how much does he have to pay? 4 and 5 times. Says the Gemara, Ma leganav sheken meshalem tashlume kefel shelo bishvua. Tomar b'to'en tanat ganav shemishalem she'eno mishalem tashlume kefel bishvua. He says, you cannot make a hekesh. You know why you can't make a hekesh? You cannot be makish? Because a ganav automatically has to pay kefil. He stole and he was caught, he pays kefil. If he was modem atzmo or exceeded zem atzmo, he doesn't pay kefil. But if he's caught, he pays kefil. Automatically. There's no shivwa, no nada, pays kefil. To'en Tanat Ganav, he's only chayav if he swears. If he doesn't swear, there's no kefil. He has to swear. I come and say, give it back to me. Say, ma pitom, nignav. En li et ze. You have to be shivua. Only after the shivua you pay. So that's the Gemara asking. Answers the Gemara, and this is where we're going, right? Hekesh, it's hekesh. Meaning, even though you have a good question, which means you wanted to ask that there's a chumrah by To'en Tanat Ganav. The chumrah by To'en Tanat Ganav is you have to make a shivua. Meaning by To'en Tanat Ganav, you have to swear, you have to make an oath. So it's a chumrah. So maybe you can make a hekesh. No. When there's a hekesh, even if you have a question against a hekesh, we do it. Meaning, if it's going to be, how do you call this, binyanav, so then I can say, yeah, but you can compare it. This one has a chumrah, this one has a kula, and then if you remember, it goes to the other side. You could put 2 common denominators, you make a binyanav. Here's not binyanav. This is a hekesh. And once it's a hekesh, I do not ask. Meaning, even if I have a question, because technically speaking, there's a chumrah, it's not a question. Right, what does that mean? It's not a question. You don't ask the question, and you cannot push it off. So says the Gemara, anicha, no. Well, if he swore falsely, yes. Swore falsely, yes. Right? Anicha leman da'amar chad beganav, lecha b'to'en tanat ganav. I understand if the Tana is holding that by Shomet Inam, we're talking about one pasuk is talking about Imimatzei Aganav Yeshalem Shenayim, right? This was last week's parasha, by the way, parasha Mishpatim. Imimatzei Aganav Yeshalem Shenayim. Im lo Yimatzei Aganav Yeshalem Shenayim L'reu. So then it's going to be, that means one of them is talking about Ganav, and one of them is Tuen Tanat Ganav. So then it makes sense. Why? You have a Hekesh. You have two psukim. One is pasuk Zayin, or pasuk Vav, right? And the other one is pasuk Zayin, and it's Vav Zayin Chet, meaning these three psukim, they're all together. And one of them is talking about Ganav, and one of them is talking about Tuen Tanat Ganav. So since they're both right beside each other, so therefore what happens? So therefore there's the Hekesh. Hekesh, remember, is juxtaposition, close proximity, when you have two things brought down together. Okay? So then Shapir makes sense. But if you're going to tell me, according to the Mandamar that says, Ganav, is Tarvayu B'Tanat, Tuen Tanat Ganav. They're both talking about Tuen Tanat Ganav, which means that Ganav Mamash is not mentioned at all. That entire parasha is only talking about the Tuen Tanat Ganav. So according to that, there's no Hekesh. Yeah, Mordechai. If I'm going to say, right, that there's no Ganav in those three psukim, so there's no Hekesh. Hakol medubar betuen tanat Ganav. And Ganav. So therefore, what are you going to say? So Amri, they said no. But there's an extra letter. It says, Imimase Haganav. The letter He. The letter He, which is extra in the word Haganav, which is written by Tuen Tanat Ganav, right? So he comes and he says, that's actually coming and teaching you that it's Tuen Tanat Ganav. They're making it that they're also the exact same halachot from Ganav as well, because of the superfluous letter of the letter He. So ask the Gemara 8, we're going to ask the following question. Imagine somebody comes and he says, no, where's my ox? So he says, Nignav, it was stolen. So he tells him, Mashpiachani, you want me to make you swear? Right? I'm going to make you swear. He says, yes. Right? One second. And now he says, V'hayadim, right? Meidim oto sha'achalo. The Edim come and they say, 1 second, he ate it. What are you talking about? So Meshalem Tashlume Kefel. He has to pay Kefel. Ve'ahacha, but over here, right? You answered your own question, by the way. Right? Ve'ahacha, how did you answer your own question? Because you said... No. Kefel.
כפל רק בדין.
So you answered your own question.
אבל אם הוא אכל, הוא עשה שחיטה. אז הוא צריך לשלם 4 ו5. איפה הוא אכל? הוא אכל without slaughtering?
No, that he himself ate the shore.
Yeah.
So he has to, one second. So he has to pay, right, the kefil. Says the Gemara, but 1 second over here, basar, 1 second. How did he eat it? Yeah, everyone shwai. These guys are both jumping on me, and it's right there. The next words on the Gemara. He comes and he says, I have to do the shchita. The ganavim are doing the shchita here. The ganavim are doing the shchita here. Yeah, they're jumping. Yeah, kofetz. Yeah. So he says, "V'ketani mishalem tashlum kefel. Tashlum kefel in tashlum Rabbi Chamisha lo." Says, "What's that? You only to pay kefel, not Rabbi Chamisha." Yeah. Yeah. So says the Gemara, "Hacha ma'eskina." What are we dealing with? Kigon shachalo nevela. He says, "No, he ate it in nevela. He didn't do shchita. He ate it when it was a nevela, so he doesn't have to pay the 4-5 times." Yeah. Anyway, what do you want?
רגע.
Yeah. Huh? מה? Says the Gemara, 1 second. You could answer another thing also. Why can't you just say that it was a trefa? Which means that be'emet, they did do the shchita, but it wasn't a shchita reuya. Right? So answers the Gemara, why didn't we want to answer that it's a trefa? Remember, trefa means that they did do the shchita, but just it wasn't going to live the year. Right? Nevela means that they didn't do a shchita. So he says, so we answered like Rabbi Meir. According to Shchitat Rabbi Meir, shechita shen reuya is still considered shchita. That means according to Shchitat Rabbi Meir, even if they did the shchita and it wasn't proper shchita, he's still chayav because exactly. So that's why. That means if we're going to, you couldn't answer. We're talking about trefa. You have to answer that was doing nevela. So ask the Gemara, why don't you just say that we're talking about ben pikuah? Remember, ben pikuah, you do shchita to the mother, and the child is going to be exempt. So why don't we learn like that? So answers the Gemara like Rabbi Meir that says ben pikuah does need shchita according to Shchitat Rabbi Meir. So ask the Gemara, so why don't we learn? Right? Again, but each one is a different machloket in a different place. So we're not going to get into it here. Right? So says the Gemara, why don't we learn? You took him to the bedding. What does that mean? Before the shchita, You already took him to Betin. V'amru so the Betin says, Tzeteno, give it to him. Tehama Rav says, Tzeteno, if the Dayanim come and they told the Ganav, go give it to him, and then Tabachu Machar. So imagine, the guy comes and he steals. After stealing, they take him to Betin. They say, the Betin says, give it back. He goes home, and instead of giving it back, now he does shchita. Yeah? I know a lot of people that will do things like that. The rabbi tells them, hey, boom, they're going to do b'chavadabi. Yeah? So what happens? Right? The rabbi comes and tells him, come to Yomi every single morning. He doesn't come. And when the rabbi doesn't come, then all of a sudden he comes. So what happens? He says, Amrulo, Setenlo. And now he comes and he's tabach machar. What happens? Patur. Why patur? Why patur? Says, my tama, kevan de paske leminta. Pasek. You know what pasek means? Yeah, he's in the freezer. Yeah, what is a pasek? It says here, once Betin came and they were kovea. They went and they said, boom, that's it. So now Tavachu Machar is like a gazlan. It's not anymore a ganav. Remember, what are we talking about? The person has to pay back double and all this is by ganav. A ganav, somebody is doing it behind your back. Right? That's called a ganav. A gazlan is in front of your face. Papartzuf shelcha. Right? Ala partzuf. Yeah? So it's ala panim. So what happens? That's the case. So it's already gazlan. The gazlan never pays Rabbi Chamisha. So it says the Gemara, but what happens if they told him, Chayav atali tenlo? That means the Dayanim came and they said to the Ganav, you're obligated. They didn't tell him Lima'aseh to pay. They just said you're obligated to give it to him. But they didn't give a Kliyah Sofit. They didn't give the Sof Pasuk. And now he comes in Tabach Machar. It's going to be Chayav. My Tama, what's the reasoning? As long as there's no Pasek, he's still a Ganav. Meaning for him to be considered a Gazlan is only after the Betin come and they Chotech. This is the halacha. That's it. No, but that's what he's saying. He's saying as long as there was no psak bedin, he's still considered a ganav. The second there's a psak din, he's a gazlan. Gazlan does not pay arba v'chamisha. It's only a ganav pays arba v'chamisha.
But it's even worse now.
No.
No.
The Torah says, one more time, the Torah says only a ganav. Doesn't matter. It's fine. The Betin could punish him for something else, but they can't. It's at this. It's at this. It's a different halacha. Why? He's not Yeah? Amri, we said, and according to Rizli. Why don't we learn that it's talking about b'shutav. You had a partner, and he did a shchita without you knowing about it. So it says, you're right. He could have brought in a few of the, he could have brought in this one as well. He did one of the few. Okay, it's a good answer as well. The Amar of Yochanan says, if you're going to be Tuen Tanat Ganav by an Aveda, remember beforehand we were talking about Pikadon. Now we're talking about an Aveda, meaning somebody lost something. I come and I find it. They come and say, I heard that you found my thing. What are you talking about? What? It was stolen. Tuen Tanat Ganav by an Aveda. I found it. It's an Aveda. I find it. But now he comes and it was stolen. Tuen Tanat Ganav by Aveda. Says the Gemara, Mishalem Tashum Kefet. He does have to be kefet. My Tama was reasoning. He was said that Pasuk, Al Kol Aveda Asher Yomar. Yishalem Shnaim Lerehu. It says it on any Aveda. So ask the Gemara, Eitvi Rabbi Abba Bar Maman, Rabbi Chia Bar Abba. Ask Rabbi Abba Bar Maman. To Rabbi Bar Abba, Kiten Ish. When it says Kiten Ish El Reu, when a person is going to give it to his friend to watch over things, to be shomer. Enetinat Katan Krum. Obviously, a Katan, which is given a Pikadon, is not good called considered a good netina to be mechayev, right? Ve'el niela netano. That's only if he gave it to him. He says keshu katan utvau keshu katan. When he was a minor, he gave it to him, and then he's also asking for it when he's minor. What happens right now? There's no keshu katan utvau keshu gadol. What happens if he gave it to him? He was a minor, but then when he's asking for the money back or whatever it is that he gave it to him to watch over, he's asking him for it back. He's already a gadol. How do we know in such a case that he's not chayav too? He's not chayav also. Minayin. Kabunumar ada Elohim yavod vashneim. It has to be the same, how do you call it? The Ha'elohim here or the Dayanim, right? It has to be the same status quo, right? The same status quo for the Netina and the Tviyah. If you're going to tell me right now that really be'emet, the psak is that there's going to be a chiyuv kefel by Aveda, Tavina mikaveda should be like an Aveda, which means that this pikadon should be like he found it. And therefore, he's going to be 20 tanat ganav after he finds it, he should be chayav. Elmaleh says, what do we do with it? He says, no, he ate it when he was still a katan. And therefore, me'olam, it was never considered, right, the pikadon of a gadol. So since it's never considered pikadon of a gadol, he's never going to be chayav a shavua, and he's never going to be chayav all these things because he's still a katan. So says the Gemara, aval, however, though, if he ate it when he was gadol, my what salacha? For sure he should pay. If so, the Tana, that which we learned, that has to be the same status for both the giving and the receiving, the not the receiving, the tovea, the demanding of it. That's to be the eating and the tvia shavin kechad, not the netina, the eating. So answers the Gemara. Elmaleh says, Tani, we learned that you're right. It's achila and tvia have to be in the same status quo when he's already, because if it was a katan and then he became a gadol, it's on the same status. So if it's a different halacha, just like we learned now, became halacha. If he was a katan and became a gadol, it's a new status. So says the Gemara, Rav Ashi comes and he says, Lo dami, you can't compare the case of katan and when he became a gadol. Aveda ka'atya mikoach ben dat. When you come and you're finding something that comes from a shomra mikoach ben adam that yesh lo dat. Veha, this pikadon, lo atim, the pikadon was done by a child. A child does not have ben dat. So therefore, it's not the same thing. You cannot compare both cases. The Amar Ochia Bar Abba Yochanan says Yochanan Hatoen Tana Gadav Min Pikadon and Uchayav Ad Shechbur Mimitzat Yoreh B'Mitzat. He says you're never going to be chayav by Toen Tana Ganav by Pikadon unless you're going to be kofer b'mitzat and yodeh b'mitzat. What does that mean? That means you're only going to be chayav when it's going to be that he's saying nignav in order to be poteret atzmo, but he's modeh on the Pikadon. Meaning like this: I come and I tell you, "Where's my thing?" You have to be modeh that you gave me a Pikadon, so I'm modeh. But then I have to try to get myself out of it. So how do I get myself out of it? I need mishaker, I need kofer. So no, nignav. So that's the pshat that he has to be modeh vekofer b'mitzat. Modeh b'mitzat, vekofer b'mitzat. And then he's going to be chayav. So it says in my time what's reasoning. The pasuk says ki hu zeh. What does it mean ki hu zeh? It's a lashon b'mitzat. Zeh ani chayav velo yoter. Zeh velo yoter. This and not something else. Upliga the Rochia bar Abba Yosef and the argues of Rochia bar Yosef. The Rochia bar Yosef says Rochia bar Yosef. Eruv parashiot katuv kan. The pasuk here is shayach to another parasha, okay, which is not really supposed to be here. Meaning that's why he got like became meurav, it became all changed. And it's written ki huzeh a milvehu dichtiv. It's written on the milve, okay.